This is not, none of the, oh dear. Hey everybody, Luxinda here. Welcome back to the Lou. We are going to be working with Aqua Cast again today. I initially planned to use this mold first with epoxy resin, but because Aqua Cast cures and, does its thing so much more quickly than epoxy resin does, I decided to do the first test with Aqua Cast. This is a snail mold from Let's Resin. I have sprayed it with mold release. Mold release actually helps get the piece out once it's set up, but it also takes care of your molds. It protects them. It keeps them from wearing out as fast. So mold release before you start working, mold release after you're done and you've cleaned your mold release, then put it away. It'll last a lot longer. So I will be doing epoxy resin with this mold. I want to try a design I've seen on Pouring Your Heart Out recently. She's used different Let's Resin molds. I want to try it with the snail mold. Those of you who watch Pouring Your Heart Out probably know what I'm getting at, but I'm not going to talk about that just yet. We're going to go with Aqua Cast today. This is going to be a snail that helps me test some new black colorant. Flow Art Resin Liquid Pigment in black opaque. I'm wondering if it's any different from Cast and Craft black opaque pigment, which I've tried in Aqua Cast before with limited success. I mean, you get a dark gray, but you don't get black. This is supposed to be like super concentrated black, so I'm gonna give it a shot. And then to make our snail pop more, if he turns out either very dark gray or black, hopefully, I am going to brush in some silver metallic powder. This is also called marble color, obviously, but it is a metallic powder. It is not a mica powder. So we have that in silver. And I also have some of my favorite chromeleon micas from Woody's Goodies. I'm going to start by brushing some of these into the shell part, and then I'm going to brush the silver powder into the rest of the body as best I can. There's some little antennae spots are way down in there, so I'm not sure I'm going to get much of anything down in that area. Okay, start with these. I'm not going to use all of them. Just going to grab a couple here. Let's see. We're going to use, I'll have what she's having, dough, and it's all in the hips. Sure, why not? Basically, I'm just going to brush it on and try and brush it around. The mold release also helps any micas you use stick better because it makes the surface a little stickier than it already is. And then I'll tap out all the excess. The entire mold takes about 9.9 fluid ounces according to the Let's Resin website or the listing page for this mold. If I convert that into milliliters, it says the mold volume is about 293 milliliters. So I need I'm gonna make 140 grams of water and 389 grams of the powder. And that should give us 527-ish. If it's more than that, that's actually okay, because I would rather have more than not enough. And the neat thing about Aqua Cast, remember, you don't have to have the exact proportions that they tell you. We could add less water, it would still work. We could add more water, it would still work. One of the best things about this material. Okay, they advise putting the water in first. That'll make it easier to blend in general. So I have a gallon of distilled water here. I'm going to turn this on so it will automatically tear out the cup that's sitting there. Change it to grams. What did I say? I said 140 grams. Here we go. 145, that's fine. Tear that out, and now we want 390 grams of powder of the Aqua Cast. So 389 or 390 thereabouts is fine. Okay, 390, hot dog. Here we go. Let's stir us some Aqua Cast. And one thing I discovered when I did the last Aqua Cast video is that if I add black acrylic paint, that does get the closest thing to black from the colorants I had at that time, but it also really causes the Aqua Cast to go from liquid to a much thicker substance, like brownie batter. It wasn't nearly as fluid suddenly after adding the acrylic paint. Tried it twice, and it happened both times. It didn't seem to happen to Anthony Cramen when he put acrylic paint in some of his Aqua Cast. I'll link to his video below. He had better luck with that than I did. I mean, it colors it really well, but it feels like it's setting up right away. Okay, now let's test out our new super duper black colorant. It certainly looks black. Not really doing it much, is it? This is supposed to work with Jesmonite as well as epoxy resin, and Jesmonite is the closest thing to Aqua Cast that we have here in the US so far. So I figured I searched for Jesmonite colorants, and this came up as a super option. So far, I'm not impressed. Okay, so Anthony Cramen had better luck with alcohol inks, which you're not supposed to use with Aqua Cast because it's not water-based. Obviously, it's alcohol-based. This is Pitch Black from Ranger. Yeah, it's going brown. Great. Come on, there has to be a way to do this. Black oxide mica powder. I have this scratch board ink. We haven't tried that yet. Let's see what that does. It's not alcohol ink, it's ink. Whatever that means. We're getting there. Jesus, is taking way too long. Here's my Cast and Craft opaque pigment in black, which I believe I've tried before. This is basically the same thing as using the black oxide, except it's already mixed. I don't think this helped much last time I used it. This is Brusho Black, but you know, at this point I'm just gonna throw in the kitchen sink too. I'm gonna have to go with acrylic paint after all. This is Mars Black from Liquitex. This is gonna make it much thicker than I want, but needs must.
Needs must. This says that there are some things that are unavoidable. You have to do them. You have no choice, even if you don't want to do them.
Here we go. Yep, there it goes. See it thickening up? Ugh. Ooh. I mean, it's still liquid, but it just won't flow. All right, I'm gonna give up on colorants at this point. I don't think we're gonna get it much darker than that, and I don't want it to get much thicker than this. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna start over here with the head. Hopefully I can do this. Really wish it was liquider. Try and reach the antenna. What I'm trying to do is squeeze out the air bubbles from the antenna so that the Aqua Cast flows back in instead. And I don't really know if I'm succeeding. I don't think I'll know until we demold it. So even when it's gloopy like this, a lot less liquidy than it was before the acrylic paint, it still self-levels. It's really good about that. So we ended up with just about the perfect amount, which makes me rather happy. Okay, there we go. Well, we'll come back and demold it shortly. Okay, this has set up. It's probably been about 3 hours because I got busy editing the first portion of the video that you just saw. Contrary to what probably goes through some people's minds, is that editing must not take very long because, at least in my case, with my videos, it doesn't look like anything particularly special. But even taking out all the times I take a breath or say, spend a lot more time editing than recording. But anyway,
It took absolutely ages.
that gave this plenty of time to set up. So let's see what we got. I have no idea how to go about doing this, but I'm hoping it won't be too difficult. Ooh. Okay. Aw, I knew that was going to be a problem. Oh, poopies. Poor little snail. Well, he went more silver than anything else. I don't know if this shows up. See if I can get you a close up here. I can see the color shifting on the shell. Can't see it down here. This is just silver. Up here you can see lots of different sparkles and colors, I hope. So it's there. In some cases it's more pronounced than others. So that part worked. I'm happy with that. The problem is, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the antenna out. I'm going to give it a try. Just going to sort of push. So I'm pushing against the bulb of the antenna and pulling. I've got a grasp on the other end. I would really like this to come out one piece.
Hey, it did!
Okay, so we can, if I can get the other one out in the same fashion, we should be able to glue this on and maybe paint some silver over it so it, kind of blends. That's what I'm going for here at this point. Before I get too carried away with my ideas, let's see if I can get the other one out. Yay! Okay, cool. Now I just need to find the right glue to do this. A lot of tight super glue here. All right, yay! I mean, you can see the you can see the scars. Oh, he's so cute though. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for the glue to completely set, and then I'm going to mix up a little of this metallic powder with something that lets me paint it. So spirit gum maybe, like I used to make those watercolor paints. Maybe if I do that, mix up just a little bit. So it's liquid form. I can paint some of the silver powder around and obviously down. I have a tear trail there now. Hey, we're back. I'm dealing with my snail here. First I tried the chrome pen that I have, and that made a very, very shiny chrome patch. I should have been recording when I did it. Very shiny. So then I thought, all right, well, how about a silver paint pen? And that got me a little closer, but you can still see that it's different. So then I thought, how about taking the metallic powder that, I thought I was going to use in the first place, and while this ink from the paint pen, or while the paint from the paint pen is still wet, maybe brushing on a little of the silver powder over the top would do the trick. Would actually blend it, So let's see if that works. Try and get this. So here it is going on. Yeah, it's a little better. Certainly a lot closer. It's not great. I will probably never be able to convince anyone that it didn't get broken in the first place. That's all right. Go in the other direction. Instead of trying to hide this, I could paint like a little black band around each one, like that's his, his species marker or something. All right, so let's go get our sunshine shot of this fella. If I were better at drawing, I would draw cute little eyes and a cute little smiley mouth, but I'm not.